This is Christian Puglisi for a video log for the movie structure of Lee Daniels' The Butler for August 27th. Lee Daniels' The Butler is the latest movie from Lee Daniels, director of the much acclaimed and much hard to watch Precious, based on the novel Pushman Sapphire. Again, he loves long titles like this. That movie had a very unconventional film structure where it was very hard to watch, and you followed the story of Precious from her start of her senior year of high school to eventually her obtaining her GED and leaving her abusive mother, Monique. This movie has a much more epic film structure, clocking in around 2 hours and 21 minutes, and following the story of Cecil Gaines, based on the real life butler Eugene Allen, who spanned about 35 years in the White House, from Ford all the way to Reagan. And it is the story of this man. In real life, he was a very plain man. He just grew up from a Virginia home. He found his way up the butler scale until he eventually became the White House butler and left after a considerable amount of time when he got older. This story tells the story of Cecil Gaines, but a man who grew up from slavery, watched his own father get killed in front of him, watched his mother slowly become crazy from continual rape from the plantation owners, and set out to form a life that was better than the only other option he really had. This story is a lot more exciting, but it also completely get rid of the integrity of his story, and just might as well have been a regular movie with much more centralized plot, so it didn't have to cover all this time. This movie has the basic structure of a film like Forrest Gump that did it perfectly. This movie is a little meandering in parts, especially some presidents get more time than others, such as John F. Kennedy gets most of the brunt of the positive um, depiction in the movie, while Reagan just gets like a sliver of 20 minutes at the end showing how Cecil has basically almost given up and is tired of the rampant racism, even though it's been through the civil rights movement. This movie also adds different characters, like a son that never existed that got killed off in Vietnam, while his real son in life was not a Black Panther leader and did not go on become hated as much as he was. Cecil Gaines in this movie isn't the most likable movie protagonist. He's actually very stubborn in parts. He does not fight for civil rights as much as his son does. He does not support any of his son's actions until the last 15 minutes or 20 minutes of the film, and that's basically taken up by him meeting Obama at the end of the movie with his wife Gloria dying. Also, parts like that are drawn out, such as his family life with his alcoholic wife Gloria that magically becomes cured, but is for basically sake of movie progression. The movie is a very good movie. It's acted well with Forrest Whitaker, but even he can break up the weird pacing, such as like the beginning of the movie is great with him as a younger person. It really shows the horrors of racism in this country and how we really have come a far way. While in the middle of the movie, it basically just there's two opposing forces, and neither of them are really um, supported the violent structure of how to overcome racism and the passive structure that Martin Luther King. It basically shows that neither really was fully there, but that basically one man can make a difference just by doing his job well and becoming a positive force for change. The movie was definitely longer than I expected. I expected just a random movie that highlighted the president's first small time, and instead we walked into an epic that was long and almost got me mispacking for college, but overall was enjoyable. Forrest Gump did the story a lot better with racism and going to the Vietnam War and actually having a really likable main character, even if he wasn't relatable. This character is relatable, but not necessarily likable, and the movie kind of suffers and drags down because of this, especially during the character development scenes of every character that isn't Cecil Gaines. The movie is definitely watchable and should be seen because it probably is going to be another Academy Award win for Forrest Whitaker and maybe a nomination for Oprah Winfrey. But I feel like the movie can be watched on a nice rainy night and be spent in a longer time with the structure and how it's just paced. This is the video log, and it's time to clock out.